Willie J. Williams, Jr., controlled the drug trafficking at the Kimmelbrook Housing Project in East Youngstown, Ohio. After an extended absence from the area, Williams returned to find that Alfonda R. Madison, William L. Dent, Eric Howard, and others had taken over the drug trade at the Kimmelbrook Project. Youngstown, Ohio, in a city once called the nation's crime capital, drug dealer Willie J. Flip Williams, Jr., born on November 9, 1956. He pictured himself as a modern-day successor to the underworld bosses. Short but proud, Williams brought a formidable persona to Youngstown's streets, smart, brash and vicious. A felon, the city couldn't ban, he once walked into police headquarters, pronounced himself reformed and asked for information on drug rivals, getting none. Williams wanted to regain control of the drug business, so he decided to rob and kill Madison and the others. Williams recruited 3 juvenile accomplices, his 16-year-old girlfriend, Jessica M. Cherry, her brother, Dominic M. Cherry, and Dominic Cherry's 17-year-old cousin, Broderick Boone. On August 27, 1991, Williams bought walkie-talkies at a Radio Shack store. The devices had a combined microphone-earphone earpiece that left the user's hands free. He also bought batteries and duct tape. Williams, Dominic, and Broderick later tested the walkie-talkies. Before the murders, Williams outlined his plan to his 3 accomplices. During this meeting, he drew interior and exterior diagrams of Madison's house. He later ordered Dominic to burn these diagrams, but Dominic burned only 1 copy. In addition, Williams supplied each accomplice with a gun. On September 1, 1991, Jessica met with Madison and discussed a drug deal. Later that night, Williams and his 3 accomplices arrived at Madison's home by car. Williams armed the 3 juvenile accomplices with guns and a walkie-talkie and sent them inside, while he waited outside with a walkie-talkie. Once inside, the 3 accomplices drew their guns on Madison. Then, after receiving word via walkie-talkie that the situation was secure, Williams, armed with a semi-automatic rifle, entered the house carrying a duffel bag containing handcuffs, duct tape, and gloves. Inside, Williams handcuffed and bound Madison and put tape over his mouth. 30 to 45 minutes later, Theodore Wynn, Jr., a recently discharged Air Force sergeant, came to the door looking for Madison and Howard, who were roommates. Jessica answered the door and told Wynn that Madison was not home and Howard was asleep. As Wynn walked back towards his car, Williams told Jessica to call Wynn back into the house, because Wynn could identify them. Inside the house, Williams held Wynn at gunpoint and handcuffed him. Upon orders from Williams, Jessica walked to a payphone and called William Dent for the purpose of luring him to the house. When Dent arrived with Howard, Williams and his accomplices ambushed them and forced them to lie down in the bathroom. Williams strangled Madison and Wynn, and then instructed Jessica to turn up the stereo. Going from room to room, Williams shot each of the 4 victims in the head with Madison's gun. The group left Madison's home, but Williams, according to Jessica, went back in to make sure they were all dead. Later, back at his apartment, Williams embraced his juvenile accomplices and rewarded them with drugs. He warned them not to tell anyone what they had done or he would kill them. The next day, September 2, 1991, Williams and Jessica were driving down the street when another car rammed theirs and the people in the other car shot at them. Jessica and Williams fled the scene. When they returned to the vicinity of the accident, officers transported them to the Youngstown Police Department and later released them after questioning them about the traffic accident. Later that night, Williams, Jessica, Dominic, and Broderick fled to Pennsylvania. They returned to the Youngstown area and parted company. On September 24, 1991, Dominic turned himself in and gave a statement about the murders. Later, officers arrested Jessica and Broderick, and the latter also gave statements. Following their arrests, Jessica, Dominic, and Broderick were held at the Mahoning County Juvenile Justice Center. Williams was later arrested in connection with the murders. On October 15, 1991, shortly after being arrested, he escaped from jail. While a fugitive from justice, a Mahoning County grand jury indicted Williams on 4 counts of aggravated murder, 4 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of aggravated burglary. On January 12, 1992, Williams and 2 other accomplices, Paul R. Keeper, Jr., and a juvenile named Eric Fields, appeared at the Mahoning County Juvenile Justice Center. The 3 deceived a receptionist and were permitted to enter. Once inside, Williams held the receptionist and a deputy sheriff hostage, demanding to see Jessica, Dominic, and Broderick. After lengthy negotiations, Williams surrendered to authorities. At trial, Keeper testified that Williams planned to kill the 3 juveniles because he knew that they had made statements to the police regarding the murders. The Mahoning County grand jury indicted Mr. Williams on 12 counts of aggravated murder, 4 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of aggravated burglary. In addition, each aggravated murder charge included 2 felony murder death specifications and 1 death specification for multiple murders. The court transferred venue to Summit County. Jessica, Dominic, and Broderick all entered into plea agreements with the Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office. All 3 pled guilty to delinquency by reason of complicity to aggravated murder, complicity to aggravated burglary, and complicity to kidnapping. All 3 testified against Williams. Williams had an extensive prior record of criminal activity and arrests. A jury convicted Williams on all counts and specifications. The trial court merged the 12 aggravated murder counts into 4 and the 3 specifications per count into a single multiple murder specification. Following the sentencing hearing, the jury recommended death for each count of aggravated murder. The trial judge sentenced Woody J. Williams to death, and the Court of Appeals affirmed the sentence. The Ohio Parole Board recommended that Gov. Bob Taft deny clemency to a man who shot to death 3 alleged rivals and their visitor in his Youngstown drug territory. The aggravating circumstance of a wanton, calculated, horrific, cold-blooded, execution-style killing of 4 defenseless young men greatly outweighs any proffer of mitigation. The board's unanimous report said in the case of Willie Williams Jr. at a clemency hearing, the men's relatives detailed how their death still hurt their families. A prosecutor said Williams deserved no mercy for shooting the men in the head, and defense attorneys said their client told them not to argue for it. The state pointed out several factors in their opposition to clemency: the brutality and magnitude of the crime. 4 young men were shot in the head execution style. No mitigation exists in the offense itself. Several of the victims were lured to the residence prior to their murders. Each was bound, and Williams enlisted juveniles to accomplish his premeditated plan. On each of the 4 aggravated murder counts, Williams was convicted of 3 specifications. Although merged by the trial court at sentencing, the establishment of a cinch factor on a single count was sufficient to impose a sentence of death. Williams has never accepted responsibility for the heinous murders of 4 individuals, nor apologized for his callous actions. He is not asking for clemency. The aggravating and mitigating circumstances surrounding the crime were considered at trial, upheld throughout an appellate process lasting 12 years, and affirmed by a reviewing court. Police think that Williams may have killed up to 10 other people during his criminal career. He had previously done 5 years in a California prison for cocaine trafficking bank robbery. He had also once walked into a police station in Youngstown and asked for information on rival drug dealers in the area. The Ohio Parole Board recommended that Governor Bob Taft not give clemency in this case, which he withheld on October 24, 2005. His execution carried on. He was pronounced dead at 10:20 a.m. on October 25, 2005 after the lethal injection at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville, Ohio. He did not have a last meal request. He did have a cup of coffee. In his final statement he said, "I'm not going to waste no time talking about my lifestyle, my case, my punishment. Mom, you've been there for me from the beginning. I love you. To my nieces, nephew and uncle, I love you very much. Y'all stick together. Don't worry about me. I'm okay." Those were his last words. Thank you for watching Death Row.